In a world filled with sniveling snowflakes, where timeouts and safe places are abundant, where there's 37 genders to scroll through on a job application. Not that they have jobs. We're proud to be your salvation and your beacon to unabashed, in-your-face talk. This is Stars, Bars, and Cigars, the no-holds-barred conservative talk show hosted by battle-tested vets. Lock and load and get ready for an explosive journey through breaking news, the rich tapestry of constitutional history, and the pulse-pounding realities of Army and Navy life. Oh, and yeah, cigars. Stars, Bars, and Cigars. And now your hosts, Jimmy the Bull and Tig Tigger.
Hey, Patriots and Snowflakes. Tig, how are ya?
Great, Bull. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. All right.
Cool.
So tonight, we're going to discuss a little bit about the big, beautiful disappointment part 2. We spoke a little bit about it there the last episode, and we kind of went into it thinking, oh, this might be a good thing. This might be a good thing. But you know what? The more I kind of read into it and, stuff came up and I don't know. We'll discuss it.
It's iffy.
What are you smoking, Tig?
All right. I am smoking the Cohiba Blue. All right. Interesting. Because the Cohiba Blue, even though it's a premium cigar and they're very, very on their cigars, they're very strict on their cigars. So you won't see the Cohiba brand. All right, it originally was Cuban, right? And then now they make Cubans, they make Dominicans. You see, they kind of come down to these other countries because of the embargo. Of course, when they had the Cuban embargo. Cohiba is a very popular brand, and it's a very pricey brand. It's a high premium cigar. And this blue was supposed to be meant for those with a budget, those who, couldn't afford a normal Cohiba. But you see, you won't be seeing Cohiba do factory throwouts and that kind of crap because they still keep their standards really, really high. So even though this Cohiba Blue is like one of their lower end cigars, it's still a premium cigar and it's still going to cost you $15 for the cigar. You ain't going to get a Cohiba for much less than $15 a stick, folks. And you can tell with Cohibas what are the Cubans and what are not. The Cubans don't have the red dot in the O. Okay, so this is definitely not a Cuban. This is a Dominican, but it's more than a Dominican. It's more of a hybrid. But so talking more about the Cohiba, this is more along the lines of a Robusto or a Toro, right in between. This is the Classical Blue. And so it's got about a 5.5 in length stick, and it's got a 50 gauge. The filler is Dominican, Honduras, and Nicaraguan. So it is a hybrid. It's got a combination filler. It's a medium body blend, creamy, smooth draw, notes of sweet leather, earth tones, cream, and cinnamon. But it is a Cohiba, and even though it is one of those cigars that a beginner can smoke or a more advanced person can smoke, you're still, even though it's a lower end, one of the lower end priced Cohibas, it is still a Cohiba, still smokes like a Cohiba, and still costs pretty much like a Cohiba at about $15 a cigar. So What are you smoking, Bull?
Well, I'm smoking a Caldwell. This is a little bit different little beast. This is made by Robert Caldwell. They were recently just purchased by another outfit. So I think there's going to be some really nice changes coming to the lineup. This was the only Nicaraguan that I saw in the lineup. So that's the reason I went with it. It's called the Blind Man's Bluff. It's a Toro, a 6x52. And I'll tell you what, this is a premium stick, man. This is excellent. Just the first few puffs off of it, I just very much a cedar draw to it and a kind of a creamy like exhale. So it just has kind of a very unique profile. Just and the biggest thing about the Caldwells is that Robert Caldwell, he likes using rare aged tobaccos. So the construction on this is fabulous. It's got a lightly oiled wrapper. You can kind of see the sheen on it.
Yeah.
And it's just has a beautiful caramel wrapper to it. So it's a nice stick. I think it's going to be a really good smoke all the way through. And it's not too heavy, so it's a really kind of like a mild smoke. So I think a newbie could probably smoke this and be all right with it.
So you didn't buy that locally. You ordered that online, right? Correct?
Yeah, I picked it up at Cigar Direct. So it's the first time I ordered with them, and they're pretty cool, man. They sent the cigars that I did order in a nice box and everything, and it came in a nice backpack and everything. I was like, holy shit, man! They went to the extra 9 yards for that deal. So
how long was shipping time for you there?
It was about roughly a week, maybe for 4 days or so, because I ordered it like on a Friday, so it kind of had to sit over the weekend. So then I had them on, I think, Thursday.
I'll have to order something from them in the future here.
Yeah.
Maybe Caldwell.
Yeah, the Caldwells are really good. They also had some Room 101s.
Yeah.
I picked up a really nice one there. It's the Matt Booth portrait, the golden eggs. I got an extra one for you. So
yeah, that'd be nice. We'll
smoke them together.
Yeah, we'll do that because I'm really into wanting to know more about the Room 101 cigars. Fairly new, it fairly came out. As far as the cigar line is fairly new compared to all the other cigar lines.
These guys here,
veteran owned,
14, so they're pretty new as well. But it's a Dominican company, and that's where the cigars are made at as well. And
the Room 101 is veteran owned.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'll be interested in smoking that golden egg. I think that's going to be a really nice smoke. So
yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Should have named it a golden goose.
Yep. So Tig, talk about. Did you? What was that?
Yeah, this is. I'm sorry to interrupt there. I was just going to talk about the old hat I'm wearing tonight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go for it.
So, folks, this is the month of June officially, and this month, United States Army turns officially 250 years old. We plan to do an episode for that, but in honor of the 250 years, I am wearing the current issued U.S. government issued United States Army patrol hat tonight. Bull and I have worn these hats and then some, and we've worn it more than many.
More like this, the woodland camo.
They were woodland camo. This is the new camo. This is the one they're wearing today. But it's the same design hat. It's the patrol hat. It's the same design that we wore back in ancient times. Back when we still had Vietnam vets serving with us. So that was that we wore our share of those patrol hats back in the day, right. But before we went Navy. But yeah, this is the current one. And you know what's different about the current one that I like, Bull, better than the one we had?
What's that?
There's a pouch in the inside of the hat that you can shove papers and notes and stuff in. Right. So it's pretty decent. It's this is not an everyday hat for me.
No.
Wear it once in a while. Wear it working, around the house or something like that, maybe, or outside. But I'm just wearing it in honor of the 250th anniversary, 250 years of United States Army. It was originally George Washington's Continental Army before we actually became a nation. The United States of America does not turn 250 years old until next year, 2026. But the Continental Army and the Continental Navy, which is now the U.S. Army, U.S. Navy, turns 250 years old this year because they started in 1775 a year before we officially declared our Declaration of Independence. So there's a little history for you folks there too. We could go on a long list of historical times dealing with the United States Army, but we just don't have time for that on our program. Maybe we could do a little more into depth of that in our future programs here this month. So I want to know what you're wearing a cock hat tonight.
Yeah, the smoking cock.
I like that hat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it says RX on it, I think, this side. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, it's too bad it says RX.
Yeah.
You know, RX is.
I don't know what the RX stands for. I don't think it stands for like what you think it might stand
Rooster. Let's
Rooster
just call it.
Express.
Let's call it Rooster Express or something like that. Let's not go there with the pharmaceutical shit.
No.
Yeah. All right.
I think it's probably because you can, order your prescription of cigars.
Yeah, that's better yet.
Yeah, right.
That'd be a good prescription, better than the pharmaceutical garbage.
Reoccur me, man. Reoccur me. I need some.
Yeah.
So tonight we want to get into some death. You wanted to talk about some deaths.
The deaths.
Spoke about some the last episode, but let's talk a little bit about the new ones here that we kind of experienced.
Well, first let's get rid of the idiot that he was a Democrat long term, and we're just gonna say Charlie Rangel. He died. He was very old in his 90s, and not to be disrespectful to the guy, but he played the race card. He played the liberal, far left stuff, and was pretty much bought and paid for years. And so his career, and that's that. All right, enough of that, because some people just don't deserve to have the flag flown half-mast, folks. I'm sorry, that's my opinion, but it is what it is. Now, next off. When we finished our program last week, right after our program, lo and behold, we found out that Duck Dynasty's Phil Robinson, really good Christian, really good man, died at 79 years old of Alzheimer's. Hey, Bull, did you know Phil Robinson was quite the athlete?
Yeah, he was.
He played with Terry Bradshaw in college in LSU.
Right.
Yeah, college football.
Good ball. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just really strange because right when we got done with our last show, it was like, hey, oh man, we just totally missed this.
Just missed it by a minute. We could have thrown it out there at the right before the end of the episode, but we just missed it by a minute or two. Phil Robinson, that was sad. I love Duck Dynasty. For all those of you that ever watched Duck Dynasty, you can watch the reruns of it. That's a good program. It just is. It's got its entertainment. It'll make you chuckle, and it's
family entertainment too.
Family, good lessons.
So
yeah, he was a patriarch. He was the patriarch of the family.
Yeah, and they're good Christians too. They're solid. So.
Well, he had his own show, his own podcast, his own show.
Well, isn't the main character? I can't think of his name offhand.
Willie,
yeah, isn't he an ordained minister or something?
Willie Robinson. I'm not sure if he is or not.
He is.
I think Phil was, but Willie now sits at the head of the table because
right.
Jace is younger, and the other one's younger too. I forget the other one's name. And Cy is the uncle, the goofy uncle. He was in World War.
Right.
He was in the Vietnam War, and he's funny as shit. He's the funniest one on the show. Cy is, but he's not kind of the head of the family, so to speak. He's kind of like the loose cannon.
Right. So there was another one too, right?
Yeah.
Hot Lips.
Hot Lips, Margaret Houlihan.
Yeah.
AKA the actress Loretta Swit, who was from beginning to end for all 11 seasons of MASH. She played that character, the lovable character, Hot Lips, Margaret Houlihan, Major Hot Lips, Margaret Houlihan, who was the charge nurse on the MASH show.
Episodes,
she was 87 years old. They're still looking into how she died. She was found by her maid. They're thinking natural causes or whatever. And but she was an animal lover and an animal activist too. And
Just a good woman, yeah.
She didn't get involved in politics or any of that crap much. She just did her thing, and it's just she's forever going to be typecast as hot lips. Nobody's going to talk about all the other stuff she ever did. If she was basically hot lips, Margaret Houlihan, from MASH, from the MASH, which was a very solid, one of the greatest sitcoms of all time, and one of the funniest. And she played that character well. And it's just kind of sad because you're getting old when these people starting to die. You grew up watching the show. I mean, we were both alive when that show started.
Right.
So,
that was before our time, and then I mean, I've watched a lot of the reruns and so forth. So I mean, that's pretty cool.
Well, it was going while we were alive.
Oh yeah. You're right. It did.
I mean,
through the 70s.
Yeah, it started off in like 72, 73.
Yeah.
72 or 73 was first season. I grew up watching. I remember my parents watching it. I was sitting there in the living room with them, 4 years old, watching the early ones as they had them on, on weekday primetime television.
Right.
And so we're kind of aging ourselves now, but so you just grew up watching the show. In fact, I watched the final episode in 1984. And I think that final episode, I was like, 14, 15 years old?
Yeah.
For the final?
Well, wasn't that like one of the most watched episodes ever for a sitcom or something like that? I can't.
I think it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually the finale wasn't my favorite episode by any stretch. But it was one of the most widely watched,
Yeah, MASH stood for Mobile Army Surgical Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the 4077th.
4077 MASH.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Goodbye, farewell, and amen.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Margaret Houlihan, Loretta Swit is gone.
So let's move on. Get off the sad subject here a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. This next subject is kind of sad too, but the big, beautiful disappointment. Like I was saying at the intro there, we spoke about it on our last show, and we're like, man, these guys better get this thing through, and so forth. And and then I started digging up some stuff into it, and I sent some stuff over to Tig. I'm like, hey man, this isn't sounding so good after all. So no. Especially they had some of the stuff is kind of crazy. They still had some spending in there for USAID, which is just crazy to me.
AI. It opens up the door for AI to just have,
for the next 10 years, man. What the fuck?
Yeah, give them all the power in the world, AI, and all the control.
Just like they did with the mRNAs. They gave all these pharmaceutical companies free reign, where they couldn't be held liable for anything. And that's the same damn problem we're going to have with AI.
Well, and like Senate Republican from Wisconsin, Ron Johnson, he don't like it. And he says there's enough in the Senate to vote it down, and they're going to vote it down. Republicans are going to vote it down because they don't think the tax cuts are to go far enough. They don't go far enough. They don't think the tax cuts go far enough.
No.
And so, and then Elon Musk himself, who is leaving the White House and taking a few of the workers with him.
Yeah.
He was disappointed in the big tax bill's price tag. He said there was too much spending involved in it still, and they're going to raise the debt ceiling even more too.
Well, the biggest thing, Tig, is MAGA did not vote for this shit. That was one of our main problems with the Democrats was the overspending, especially on that last bill they did right before dipshit got booted out. And that it just was just enormous spending, and I'm just so surprised Trump is on that fucking same wagon. It's just crazy.
Here's the funny thing too. Remember Elon Musk and Doge found all this fraud and all this wasteful spending, right? And I guess Trump tried to spend all the waste they found on this bill alone.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know,
We didn't want to find all this fraud, waste, and abuse just to
yeah,
repurpose it into something else. That's not right. We were looking to pay down the debt.
yeah.
And
And
let's face it, that's what's causing all the inflation.
this is the problem, folks, with these big bills. It doesn't matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat. They always seem to find extra spending on extra crap, extra pork, extra this, that, and the other that shouldn't even be in the bill in the first place. And it's just, they throw all this extra garbage in that. And instead of just having a straight up bill with straight transparency, they try to slip this shit in without explaining to the American public what exactly is going into this bill. There's a lot of people concerned with the Medicaid cuts as well. So for children who are on Medicaid and for elderly who are on Medicaid, that these cuts are going to probably hurt them as well. So, and they're not being open about what it's going to do to the Medicaid, the cuts in Medicaid. They're not being open and transparent about where these cuts within Medicaid is going to happen. Now, if you got a child on disability like I do, that affects you. That affects your child. It's plain and simple. And there's elderly people on it too. So we don't even know where those cuts are going to be exactly specifically within Medicaid. So this bill has a lot of disappointment and it has a little questions in it too. There's a lot that can be said. Maybe they need to go back to the drawing board and go over some of this with a fine tooth comb and see where they can, maybe not spend as much on this particular bill,
Right.
and maybe not cut places that is going to actually hurt people. We supported Trump 3 times. Okay.
Right.
We've supported a lot of conservatives within the administration itself.
Right.
And the thing is we wanted him to look out for the people. We wanted him not to make all these. Remember when he was campaigning all over, he was going to say, we're going to make America wealthy again. What part of America is being wealthy again? Is it the middle class? Because they're the ones that are not actually seeing the benefits right now. He's been making a lot of deals that really are just helping the wealthy, and it's giving a lot of power and argument to the Democrats, which really sucks.
Right.
Because the Democrats are starting to say, yeah, these cuts are for the wealthy. These cuts are for his big business buddies. They're not for the middle class. They're not for the poor. And it's like, you don't want to agree with them, but you're kind of not seeing across the board cuts with the middle class and the poor. Who's getting wealthy?
Yeah.
Corporate America getting wealthy?
Yeah.
Corporate
Exactly.
America and the corporations that run America, they're getting wealthy. And the politicians are getting wealthy off the kickbacks for certain deals and certain foreign aid bills that they've been signing on to. But they're getting wealthy, but yet the American people still struggling. Yeah, you could say gas prices have gotten a little lower and groceries gotten lower, but energy costs have went up, folks. So where is the middle class and the poor? Where are they benefiting? Right now, they're not benefiting at all.
No. And we are just a little over 100 days. So I mean, I think maybe in about 6 months to a year, I think the middle class will start seeing it.
Well, midterms are right around the corner. They better start doing something.
But like in retrospect, we just came off a shitstorm of last 4 years. So.
And people recognize that, but the problem is, man, when he's starting to lose his popularity amongst his new voters, the ones that gave him the popular vote and not just the electoral vote. And, they have high expectations, and sometimes you gotta throw the dog a bone.
And, we're being ultra critical too, because, I mean, that's, everybody should be asking questions,
Yeah.
And if you're not, then why the fuck aren't you?
You should always be critical of even the ones you support when they're not doing something quick enough that they should be doing. Midterms are a big thing because he's not going to get anything done if the Democrats take over control. They're gonna ex-nay his ass. They're gonna bring up stupid impeachment crap again and waste taxpayer dollars again. They're gonna push higher taxes onto people if they win the midterms. So he's got to work fast and make results quickly.
Yeah, especially if they get that clown Jeffries in there.
Yeah. Well, right now, the DOJ is not getting a damn thing done regarding like Epstein files and the swamp.
Disappointing.
Yeah, it is. Some people are saying that maybe they're waiting till right before midterms to drop the hammer and start indicting and stuff, but they need to do it now. There's no time.
Yeah.
There's no time to wait until the last minute. There really isn't. With indictments and all that, you have appeals and everything else. And they really should have got on the ball right away on this stuff.
And
really,
Tig, I seriously think Pam Bondi is compromised. I think she is compromised.
I think Bongino and Kash Patel have been compromised.
Well, she's their boss.
Yeah. So I think she was compromised a long time ago. I didn't like her from the get-go. I thought she was a phony from day one. I don't think she was all about the Second Amendment because you don't have to go any further than when she was in Florida and she wanted red flag laws, basically.
Right.
Which is a violation of the Second Amendment. I've been saying that from day one. So, I never liked her, never trusted her or liked her, and I still don't. And I still say they should have circled the wagons around Matt Gaetz, who had actually got something done by now. And that's what they were afraid of.
That's what they're afraid of. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
that they ex-nayed him quick and fast and furious with him. So
yeah, and it really, that's just bullshit. It's bullshit. Oh, I'm on the screen.
So we were talking a little bit about Elon Musk leaving. Everybody knew he was going to leave. He wasn't leaving because he was upset. So just so people don't,
no, he wasn't going to stay long. He wasn't supposed to stay long.
130 days.
Yeah. So, and they complained so much about him, and they're just really complaining about nothing because he was just supposed to be an advisor. He wasn't an appointed position. Or not, he wasn't a voted for position. It wasn't an appointed position. The commander in chief, the president, can appoint advisors all he wants, and that's what he was doing. Right. And so he was well within his rights to do so. A little bit on Doge again. Musk leaving Doge, what was really accomplished? I mean, he found waste and fraud, but what's been done really about the waste and fraud that he found? Where have they really done anything? I mean, some of this fraud,
a lot of that stuff was put into the bill, and it's going to get shot down. I mean, it's looking that way. It's looking like that bill's going to get shot down. So
there's some people guilty of fraud within the framework that should be brought up on indictments and stuff in question, and that too. And the whole, well, we save this amount of money. Everybody is going to get, he said, everybody's going to get, we're going to give $5,000 back to everybody. Now it turns out that maybe next year they'll give that $5,000, but it's going to go towards anybody that made over like $40,000. Mm-hmm. So anybody just under $40,000 isn't going to get shit. So, because they didn't pay enough in taxes, evidently. So I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever.
Maybe some sort of pipe dream, I think.
Yeah, it's believe it when you see it, folks, because government, that's the way they are. Government is full of rumors and full of slow, hurry up and wait type of deals and rumors. And so if you've ever been in the military, you know that you don't even believe thousands of rumors that go on till you actually see it and it's real in front of you.
Tig, did you catch the Trump's rally he had at the steel mill in Pittsburgh?
I should have caught it, but I didn't catch it because
I caught a little bit of it, and it's just kind of the same old rhetoric.
That
goes over.
I kind of got sick of Trump rallies when it started being the same thing over and over again. Same message.
Right.
And,
I think he should have really had his writers rewrite his stuff, his material, because it is getting old and it's getting, too repetitious to where it just doesn't make sense anymore. Because, a lot of the stuff, he's doing or implementing, and it's just, it's just the same thing, forwards and backwards. So he really needs to kind of get with his writers and get with some new scripts and say, hey, I'm looking into the Pam Bondi thing. I'm looking into this. I'm looking into that. I'm not abandoning my base, and I think he needs to come out and say that.
He needs to start being more articulate about what's going on, more transparent, and reassure the American people that he's still standing behind every single American. Same message. It's just getting tiresome. He's going to have to leave with a lot done when he leaves office. Otherwise, he's going to hurt the Republican candidates, such as a J.D. Vance, for them running if they want to run for president, because he's going to have to stay popular and actually have a very good record for the next person to run on.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you good with that?
Yeah, we're done with that. We've already beat the dead horse. Yeah.
Cool. So, new landowners down in Texas, they purchased a property, and out in the back 40, what did they discover, Tig?
They discovered some old leftover files from a retired Secret Service agent.
WTF.
Yeah, going back. Yeah, so what the fuck? Going back to President Lyndon Johnson. And they found files with a signed photo, personalized photo of George H.W. Bush and his president and the First Lady. They found some real files that may have some classified information and everything else. Now, we discussed this, Bull, and it's like people wouldn't just leave behind classified files for someone to find like that. So it makes you wonder if it's another distraction, or if it's this guy who's actually working for the government just to throw a distraction out there to mess with people's heads and stuff. I don't know.
Speaking of distractions, you posted something on, I think it was Facebook, where you were talking about the people who create chaos. Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to wait to another episode? Let's just hold off on that.
Yeah, let's hold off on that because I need some specific, because there's
we'll hold off on it. Yeah, we'll talk about
chaos. That's a big range to talk about. I could, that's another huge segment.
That's a big rabbit hole.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff into that too. The chaotic stuff that's going to go on. In fact, I'd like to talk in depth more about William Cooper, who wrote "To Behold a Pale Horse" and what he said about Israel later on too, and how they created Israel, the nation, to fulfill Bible prophecy. So we've all been misled there too, Christians and conservatives alike. And that's a big rabbit hole. That's a whole show in itself. We'll get to that too, because we've all been really deceived on that one, and that one's really mind blowing. And he was right about it. So they killed him. As a matter of fact, the feds killed him. So we know he knew too much, and that's how come he was killed. But they can say what they want otherwise. But anyway, that's down the road. We'll talk about that too.
So okay, you were also talking a little bit about when we were talking in our last podcast there about the National Guard's units that were shipping off to Syria. Did you find some more information out about that? Because I was kind of
okay. Yeah, exactly. I found out everything about it.
All right, cool.
Well, in some states, they're sending damn near all their National Guard units, and I don't know why the governors are I don't know why they're allowing this, because what they're doing then is because National Guard was meant to protect the states. Okay, they were meant to be called upon for riot control, emergencies, disasters, and stuff within the state to help out, to support the army. And they were supposed to stay home when the army was overseas to fill the gap when active duty army was gone. The National Guard's supposed to actually protect each state. And National Emergency Powers Act, which is unconstitutional and should have been dropped a long time ago. And then the act of the war on terror, and all of a sudden, a declaration of war says that National Guard can be activated and deployed for actually a war, a declaration of war. Well, and it was during the war on terror. Wasn't the war on terror ended like in 2020, 2021? It was officially ended. So why are we allowed? Why is it constitutional? Why is it allowed to take National Guard and activate them to go to Syria? Yes, folks, National Guard units are being sent to Syria, around the Yemen area also, to support fighting ISIS. ISIS. I thought we defeated them. I thought the war on terror was over with, and we're still fighting ISIS. Let me say this, folks. The last time the American military has ever fought to defend the country, the homeland, to defend your actual freedoms, I can't even count how far back. It's been a scam. It's been deceitful. They've been lying to you for the longest time. Yeah, remember the weapons of mass destruction that Saddam had? Oh, and he was supposed to be the fault of 9/11 also? Yeah, okay. See, we've been lied to for a long time, and we've lost a lot of troops based on lies. Now, we're supposed to have ended the war on terror, which then the National Guard shouldn't have had to been deployed. Now they're being deployed to Syria, which is a very unstable area. It's a very unstable region. It always has been for the longest time. And the point is, ISIS has been funded much by our own intelligence groups and Mossad, Israeli intelligence groups. It's hard to explain if you haven't followed, if you don't realize that these wars in the Middle East are profit wars. They're wars for profit. They're to give the military industrialized complex profits. And our military is being used as guinea pigs for this. And the thing is, Israel, not the people, don't get me wrong, this is not an anti-Semite thing like they're trying to pull. They're trying to say, oh, if you're against Israel, you're anti-Semite. Bullshit, okay? It's the Israeli government and their intelligence, Mossad, who is just like our CIA, that's pulling this nonsense. They've been the bulk of this problem for a long time with these nonstop fight wars in the Middle East. They've pretty much funded these so-called terrorist groups. Okay, we've given money for years to Iran, knowing they would give it to so-called Hamas, who was basically funded and set up by our own people, supposedly our own agencies. This is the crap we're dealing with. This is the crap we've been dealing with. It's a big facade, and they're making money off of the deaths of our troops. And it's sickening that they have to send a National Guard, that they're sending our National Guard troops. The state of Iowa is pretty near all units got sent over there to the Syria area. Right now, they're going to train in Louisiana for a little bit, and then they're going to get sent over there. For what? They should stay here, because we've got all these illegals that came over here, including Middle East illegals that are not only illegal, but they're actually terrorists, and all these gangs that have been brought over here. And if anything, the National Guard should be used to actually fight these illegals that have come over here that are criminals and terrorists. But no, we're sending them all away, the ones that should be guarding the country. Isn't that despicable?
Right, it is.
And now you have a terrorist in Colorado that just got done basically taking a cocktail and setting a bunch of Jewish people, including children, on fire.
Yeah.
Where does that end?
So, I had some thoughts about some stuff, that Trump should probably be doing, every month now. He should have like little briefs on, what is the judicial system doing? What is, like Tom Homan, what's he been up to, because that's been pretty quiet, and I know that the lower courts have been trying to dictate, policy on, deportation. So,
and they're not allowed to.
No,
these lower courts, these judges have no right.
They need to get the fuck out of the
business. They have no right to turn down the administration, the commander in chief, is agenda to protect America from illegals, and let alone especially the criminals and terrorists that were brought over here. The judges have no right to do that. Checks and balances was meant for Congress. Congress can, push back on the president. Congress can. The judicial system has no right to do it. Not at all.
Right. So, and my thoughts were floating to this, and they should be letting us know what the fuck's going on, a little better than what they have, because for Trump's first presidency, he was kind of in communication with us on a daily basis, and a lot of people did not like that, and I think it was just too new to everybody, but I really liked it because, all the previous presidents, you never know what the fuck they were doing. It's like they got into office and we never heard, hide or hair of what was going on. And, we were kind of all left in the dark after, the big hoorah, the rallies and everything. And, it's just, I don't know. I'm just thinking we need more information.
Getting back to Syria, I had some people at that bike, the bike run I did this weekend, benefit run. They were saying, what's going on with the National Guard? What's going on? Why are they being sent? And they didn't know. And I told them guys, I go, they're going to Syria. And they're like, well, we didn't know that. How come all of a sudden now? He's like, and then they did say something about Syria. How come all of a sudden we know that? And I go, you know what? We knew that a couple weeks ago. You know why? Because some of the National Guard's troops leaked it out to the civilian people that they know where they were going and why they were doing it.
Right.
So, it's just funny that the civilian population is like always the last to know. Now that's great if there's a secret mission that they're not
right. I get it.
But when all their loved ones that are supposed to be weekend warriors and supposed to be staying home protecting the nation are getting sent and deployed off again when we thought the war on terror was over with. Right. Yeah, that puts up red flags. And this is, I explained that to them briefly what was going on, and it's ridiculous. It really is. It's super ridiculous.
Tig, how's that smoke? How's that Cohiba, man?
It's not bad, but it's disappointing. I mean, I have smoked other brands, off brands, premium brands, other brands where I have paid a lot less than $15 a stick that have been a tastier cigar, have actually stayed lit better. Of course, I do get winded, so a lot of times it does go out on me, but it's to me it's like a second rate Cohiba. It's second rate Cohiba, and really there's a lot of cigars.
Cohiba, so it's going to be it's going to be kind of a lower end deal.
But there's a lot of high end Dominicans that smoke way better, smoke way better, and they taste way better. So really, it's a good cigar, but it's not a $15 cigar.
No, that's what my thoughts were on it too. I smoked one of those, a while back, and I thought it was okay. It wasn't like super great. I thought a Don Kiki was way better smoke than that.
Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you what. When you spend, look at this, you spend $15 on a Cohiba when you can spend roughly $5-6 on a few Don Kikis, and a few Don Kikis that are going to give you the same amount. You're going to get 3 cigars for the cost of this one Cohiba, and you're getting a lot better smokes.
Yep.
So,
I totally 100% agree.
Yeah, and it's or even an Arturo Fuente.
Yeah.
So I've heard some people complaining now about the Fuentes, saying, oh, they've gone downhill too in their taste and their quality of cigars and stuff. But I'll tell you what, in fact, I smoked one of their lower ends now. Fuente has actually, and I might smoke one on the show sometime. They've actually made an economical cigar too, that they're like a $5 cigar. And for $5 cigar, I tasted it the other day, a Fuente, and I thought, well, it's not a high-end Fuente, you can tell. It's a $5 cigar, but it was still pretty decent, and I would take about 5 of them over one of these Cohibas.
And I'd smoke a Perdomo over that any day.
Absolutely. Any Drew Estate.
Yeah, those two. Yep.
You know, I would rather pay $10, $11, $12 for Deadwood tobacco than a Cohiba Blue. I would rather have a Camacho. I would rather have a Rocky Patel. I'd rather have any Arturo Fuente.
Yeah,
I can
agree.
keep it going on. Padron is a good smoke. I would rather have one of those. The list goes on and on. I mean, for $15 for a Cohiba, I'll smoke anything that's less than $15 over this Cohiba, folks.
Absolutely. So my Caldwell is smoking absolutely fabulous. This is a great stick. I got it on sale. I think I paid like $7 or $8 for this.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
Fabulous smoke.
You're a manly man. I said, you're a manly man.
Yeah.
Not too many guys I know say fabulous. It must be really fabulous to have.
It's a good smoke, dude. You'll enjoy one of these.
Yeah. Caldwell.
Caldwell, yeah. Pick one up. You'll enjoy it. It's really freaking good. So, are you good with the Syrian project there? Or
yeah. I'm good with my little rant.
All right. Let's move the show into our cigar segment here.
Yes. I look forward to this part of the segment.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about women who smoke cigars and who've smoked them. So, I'll start off with Marlene Dietrichs.
Ah, yes.
She's an old German-born actress. I shouldn't say old. She's deceased now, but
she's gone.
She's long gone.
1930s actress.
Yeah. So she was well known for smoking cigars and cigarettes mostly, but she did indulge in the cigar world. So she was named. She
preferred Habanos, which was a type of Cuban cigar, medium-bodied Cuban cigar with full flavor type. So that's what she preferred.
Yeah. Now I'm going to kind of go push the show into the lib turd women out there. So many of them, but they're the famous ones. So they're the ones that are like the latest of the greatest.
Turds smoking turds.
Turds smoking turds. So we got Demi Moore starting off the list.
Oh, okay, Demi Moore. Demi Moore.
Yeah, the coolest thing about her, she was married to Bruce Willis. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Went downhill after all that. So
hearing some bad things about Bruce Willis these days too. We're not just talking about medical, but we won't get into that list.
Yeah.
So it's sad because he did a lot of good shows.
Hey, pat yourself on the back a little bit, and you got that little cough going.
Yeah. that cough we're not supposed to drop.
Well, we got a couple more that probably
name dropping, and we're not suicidal, of course.
Yeah, well, all this info is out there, so we're not telling anybody that's not, not looking. So
Demi Moore. Wait. Hold on. Demi Moore enjoys Monte Cristo and Cohiba. She also prefers Johitas and the Cohiba Panatella. She generally likes the smaller cigars, but also enjoys bigger cigars. I bet she does, such as the Monte Cristo No. 2 and Cohiba No. 2. That's Demi. So you were going on to the other one who actually looks like a cigar.
Yeah, that's the one that you said she looked like the wrapper.
The wrapper of a cigar.
The wrapper.
What's her name?
Whoopie.
Whoopi Goldberg. Epstein's list. Epstein. Yeah. Whoopi Goldberg.
Take a drink, Tig.
Yeah. She enjoys Davidoff's and the Cuban Cohiba. Other brands like the Joya de Monterrey, Hermosos No. 2, and Monte Cristo No. 1. She buys her cigars from a Davidoff outlet in Beverly Hills. That's Whoopi, I look like a cigar wrapper, Goldberg.
All right, let's move on to Mad Donna.
Mad Donna.
Yeah.
And she's a mad woman.
She looks like a demon anymore, don't she?
No, she is a demon. She is a
Yeah.
she's another one that's basically yeah. Red Shoes Club. What was that one? Uh, Adrenochrome or a chrome. Yeah. Chromo Madonna. Yeah.
You know
Vampire,
we're saying, people.
blood sucking witch. That's involved in child trafficking and all that good stuff too. You know. So she smokes Hoya de Monterrey Hermosos number 4. She also enjoys Davidoff. Moving right along because the skank doesn't deserve any much more mention.
No, let's keep on going through the turds. Rihanna.
Yeah. Another one that kind of looks like a cigar. Yes, Illuminati witch. Yeah. Now, Rihanna smokes the Cohiba Black Corona cigar. Isn't that racist? You smoke black.
Yeah. Figure. How about you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
J-Lo,
Jennifer Lopez. There's another one on the old list. Sex trafficking.
Yeah.
Children. Anyway, yeah, she enjoys Padron, especially when she's traveling and amongst friends. She also likes Cohiba and Romeo y Julieta.
Good cigar.
Yes. These women have good taste in cigars. That's just all the bad stuff we say about them. They do have good taste in cigars, folks.
That's the only good thing, right?
That's the only good thing about them. The only good thing.
How about let's move on to Beyonce.
Beyonce. Do I have something on Beyonce? Beyonce. I don't have really anything as far as what she prefers.
Yeah, I don't either. I think she liked small cigars from what I understood, and she didn't have a brand preference from what I understood as well. So
yeah, so there's not much. Moving on.
Yeah, there's nothing good. That's list.
Yeah. Another lister.
How about Kardashians?
Yeah, they smoke. Yeah. P. Diddy. I don't know what they smoke.
I don't either. I think they smoke everything, even weed.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I don't think they do. I don't know.
Yeah, they'll smoke anything that you throw in their mouth. They'll smoke anything you put in their mouth. That's not all they smoke. Or that's not all. Okay. That's not all they put in their mouth. Anyway, what's that?
Heidi Klum or Klum?
Heidi Klum. Yes, Heidi Klum. Yeah, I think she smokes along the lines of Cubans too.
Yeah, I think you're right. She was like one of my last minute finds that I came across.
Monte Cristo, Cohibas. Yeah. So Heidi Klum.
So I'm gonna go into some other celebs. Natalie Wood. She fancied cigars occasionally.
Yeah. Wasn't she involved in the wasn't she murdered?
Something like that. I think they cut her head off or something like that.
Yeah.
Was she drowned or something? I don't know.
Yeah. Was that a doings of certain Kennedy?
No.
Or was it Natalie Wood? Was she a Marilyn Manson victim?
No.
I thought she was killed.
No. What's his name? The Charles Manson, wasn't it?
Yeah. His people, his female cultish women, didn't they slice and dice her or something like that? I hate to say that, but I mean, yeah, she smoked. I don't know what she smoked though. I didn't even know. She wasn't even on my list of females that did smoke cigars. So I don't know.
Let me see here. Saying that she was. This is something dark, I know.
Well, that tells us a lot, Paul.
Yeah.
Who else you got?
I have Bonnie from Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh yes.
She was a cigar smoker, but they didn't really know any types that she smoked back
Well,
then. So
yeah, and the people that would have been around her are dead, so they wouldn't have the ones that knew her
they got
personally.
machine gunned.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you wouldn't even know what she smoked. So, um, let me give this one. Angelina Jolie, another lister, another.
Oh, going back to Natalie Wood, she died under mysterious circumstances at the
Oh,
age of 43
okay,
during the making of Brainstorm. It's a movie.
all right. So I just got done saying Angelina Jolie. Another a lister, another trafficker, another, one of those. Her preference, Angelina Jolie,
Yeah.
is hard telling because she does lead a very private life these days. So it hasn't been documented as to what cigars she actually smokes specifically. So who else do you have? Because I have a few more.
I got Patricia de Leon.
Patricia de Leon.
Yeah, she was a Panamanian actress. She was a beauty pageant title holder as well. She was known for smoking cigars as well. Let's see what movies she was in. Like Megan 2.0, Jurassic World, Rebirth. She was also in Lilo and Stitch, so she's still around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yes, she's another one. And then probably one of my favorites, and she's not no libtard or no stupid shit, is Karen Berger.
Karen Berger's a cigar founder of her own company.
Yes.
Yeah, she's her old man. She is the creator of the Don Kiki, named after her old man. And she has phenomenal cigars.
Absolutely.
So she's around, and she's a entrepreneur, owns cigar company, Karen Berger Cigars. And I don't know what her preference is. Probably all her own. So Cubans probably in that too. We didn't mention Shakira. Shakira smokes them. She's been seen smoking Cuban cigars, but nothing specified. However, some suggest perhaps she prefers Hoya de Monterrey Hermosos No. 2. Another one is Raquel Welch.
Yeah.
Now she did an interview with Cigar Aficionado.
Okay.
And the funny thing about it was she's known to love cigars, and however she was in that article, but she never really mentioned anything specific. She did mention at one point that she liked a Swisher Sweet, which, that's not the kind of cigars we are dealing with here. Yeah. But she was known, I guess she did mention about enjoying premium cigars, but never really specified any premium cigar that she enjoyed. So that's Raquel Welch. And then I've got one last one, Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Oh, yeah.
Better known as Elaine on Seinfeld. She also did another show, Christine something or another. She did a couple comedies, sitcoms. She enjoys Cuban cohibas, but while on the show Seinfeld, and I remember this episode where her and Jerry, her character Elaine and Jerry, were seen smoking on an episode, and it was a Peruvian cigar. So we're talking about maybe a premium cigar from Peru, country. But yeah, they were shown smoking a Peruvian. That's it for her. That's all I have on her. So I think that kind of really does.
Yeah, that kind of wraps up the list. That
ends our list, and we're just right coming up on our hour. So
yeah, Did you want to do a little bit on trending news, or you want to?
Yeah, because you spoke about Texas before,
Yes, sir.
with finding the files and all that. Well, speaking of Texas, they signed the 10 Commandments bill. So now the 10 Commandments have to be displayed in their public school system.
Right.
So they signed that. Nebraska, state of Nebraska just signed a bill on protecting women, and now women, men, biological men, or even it doesn't matter what you were born with, the sex you were born with. That's the sex you have to play a sport in. So if you were born a man, you cannot. It doesn't matter what you identify as. If you were born a man, you cannot play in women's sports. A lot of states are starting to do this now. This is not a Democrat Republican thing. This is common frickin' sense.
No, and and Trump had mentioned he was going to defund these states, and I think he needs to revisit that and really go after that, because I'm not for it whatsoever.
Yeah, this is just sick.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't, states, taxpayer dollars, even in the states, shouldn't fund transgender surgeries and
You fucking liberals, screw your head on right, man.
mutilating children and stuff like that. That's just nonsense. Rudy Giuliani made a reminder to Attorney General Bondi before too. So he was putting it hard on it too.
He put it out there. He put her on warrant. He put her.
He
on
basically said it's not hard to open up, say, a laptop and find all these criminals that you can basically indict. From the swamp.
A certain laptop,
certain laptop.
There's financial stuff in there. There's all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. And then for you, Bull.
Yes, I want to touch on a little bit of something that's been on my mind too. Is over in Africa, they've been killing and stealing the farmland of white farmers over there for a very long time. But now it has become authorized by the South African government. Why are we doing business with these motherfuckers?
Yeah. Well, why do we do business with a lot of people? Why do we do business with China? We're communist countries aren't friends of ours. Rogue nations like certain areas of Africa, they're not. They shouldn't be friends of ours.
No. And I think Trump handled it pretty good with that meeting that he had. He played the video of those government officials on there saying kill the Boers, and such like that. And
stop funding these nations. Stop giving foreign aid to them.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
Cut them off.
Cut them off. Cut them completely off.
Ukraine, cut them fuckers right off.
Yeah.
Let them know we're done with you.
Well, they don't want to cut Ukraine off because the Ukrainian government's giving back kickbacks to certain politicians, and those politicians are making millions of dollars in kickbacks off of your tax dollars, people. Bet you didn't know that, but we mentioned it before. That's a fact. Look it up.
I don't think they're making as much as they were because of Doge, but maybe it's going to different people now.
Yeah. Also, semi-truck turned over and released millions and millions of bees in Washington State. It's interesting. Why are millions and millions of bees in a truck?
Well, where they're taking them? They're taking them to areas where they can control, where there's hardly any spraying in the sky, for one.
But are they mechanically engineering them as well? Are they endorsing them with something that could really, if they sting a person, can give them an mRNA or something like that? Because you never know what they're doing nowadays.
Being that you brought this up, do you remember the movie X-Files? And they had a section of on the movie, they had this huge dome area that had a bunch of corn growing in it, and then in the center they had these big things that were buzzing.
Biodome.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden they opened up and all these bees come out.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that scene?
Interesting, isn't it? That the X-Files has actually in the past told us something that would occur in the future in so many ways. Yeah, a lot of movies do that, and it's kind of interesting. Stay tuned, folks.
You know, and I don't, and I've been really sour on movies anymore, so I haven't been watching anything.
Remember the 90s collector cards called the Illuminati cards that pretty much not only foretold the future, but actually told their game plan? Look those up too, folks. The Illuminati cards, those are a real thing.
Yeah.
And they foretold stuff that's already happened that happened later on. So that's another one for you. You know, if we're going to close, I want to talk about one more thing, and it's regarding a certain cigar.
All right, go ahead.
You showed me this. We talked about this. The Opus X Society La Edición de la Sociedad.
How much
Toro. $150 for one frickin' cigar.
One cigar.
Yes,
Can
that's
you imagine burning
that's
$150 on a smoke.
That's an Elon Musk or a Trump cigar right there, because you got to have that kind of money to want to throw down on one cigar. Huh?
Did you catch how much a box went for?
Oh my God, I didn't, but I know it was over $1,000.
Yeah.
What was it? 2,000? 2,000?
Yeah, right around there. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Holy shit. I mean, I guess if you're a trillionaire, a billionaire, you know, oh my gosh, man, $150 for a stick?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Must be some big celebration that you're going to make smoking a whopper like that. I guess if you won a lottery or inherited over $1 million, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna celebrate by buying a $150 cigar. Yeah. Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mute because a motorcycle drove by and then revved it up.
Yeah, there's wealthy people I know that would never pay that much for one cigar.
No,
I mean, you could get
a box of them.
You could get a great Davidoff. You could get a great box of Davidoffs for a lot cheaper than that.
Right.
And even some of those $20 cigars are overrated.
Yeah.
Wow, what a whopper!
Exactly. Well, my parting words are, as with always, liberalism is a mental illness, folks. So
that it is.
Stay away from it.
That it is. But extremism is in every party, every political affiliation. There's extremism in religion groups, extremism everywhere, extremism in cultures, races, everything. So, you know, it's great to be conservative, but don't make yourself, well, I'm considered an extremist too, but I mean, come on. You know, nothing's more extreme than the extreme left. I mean, that's all out communism, folks, and that's just despicable. You got to use your head when it comes to stuff like that.
Take one last.
Can't even reason with liberals.
One last hoorah for your Cohiba Blue.
One last hoo-ha.
Parting thoughts on that.
Parting thoughts. Cohiba Blue. It's a $15 stick. Here's my end on it. Don't buy it. You can find a lot better smokes for less money.
Good.
That's my thing. And Cohiba's probably going to say, "Oh, you're no good anyway," and all that stuff. And we don't give a shit what you say. Well, so okay, but you know what? I'm telling the working class folks, the working class out there, the people out there that have a budget and stuff, you can find so many better cigars for less than $15. And you can buy, there's 3 cigars you can buy of one brand for the amount of one Cohiba that are so much better.
Yeah.
And that's especially that blue. That stay away from the Cohiba Blue. Not worth $15, folks. You can buy better cigars for less.
Right.
That's my parting word on that. And my parting word, as always, is if you are not suspicious and a little paranoid, then you are not prepared.
My parting words for my Caldwell is if you come across them, grab one because they are excellent. This smoke, just like I was saying before, it's got kind of that cedary, inhale. And now I'm getting a sweet cream exhale. So
awesome.
You'll love it.
You were going to ask me one more thing regarding somebody that particular fictionist person that smoked cigars or something.
Oh yeah.
Another show.
Hey, yeah. Do you know what kind of cigar James Bond smoked?
Which James Bond? There was like 4 or 5 of them.
On. The fucking spy, dude. Come on.
Oh, Sean Connery. Yes.
Yeah,
The best one.
Yeah,
the best one. Because Pierce Brosnan played James Bond too, and he smoked a cigar. But we'll talk about that.
And Roger Moore did too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We can talk about that in another show about the James Bonds that smoke cigars.
The Bond cigars.
The Bond cigars.
Women. The Bond cigars.
The Bond cigars will be probably our next episode.
Yeah.
The James Bonds that smoke cigars.
Yep.
Yeah. So
quit spraying the skies, man. That's all I'm asking for, man.
Quit spraying our skies.
Guys, hey, did you see all the haze? Just one more minute here. Just all the haze, and I was watching the news, and all the cities had the haze all across the United States.
Yeah, and don't tell us it's from wildfires, because folks, wildfires aren't happening for real. What's starting them is a direct energy weapon. Look it up. Not a conspiracy theory. Look up direct energy weapons. They're trying to force people out of their private property in areas that can be potentially off the grid, because the government does not like people that actually can live independently away from government. Right. They want them in their 15-minute cities, their smart cities. They don't want people to live on their own off the grid and stuff. And they also want that property for, sex trafficking children, because, we got the Epstein type of islands, and we got more than that, because I'm pretty sure that Oprah Winfrey has one too.
Yeah.
And,
clear.
Direct energy weapon. Look it up, folks, because forest fires don't happen just because of dry season. All right. They don't.
And that's what happens in LA too.
I get in my fire pit and I'm trying to light some dry wood. And I'm trying to light some certain branches that I cut, and I couldn't light them for shit. And let me tell you something. It was dry, and I couldn't light them with a lighter, and I threw gasoline on it, and it went woof, and it fire burned out. And the
gasoline burned out.
Well, the fire burned out too. The fire stopped, and I couldn't believe it. How am I not getting this lit? This is wood and stuff. Wood, huh? And you know what? Some of it's softwood. It's hard to burn. But I'm thinking to myself, so tell me how a forest on a dry season, it can just set on fire that easily and just burn completely. And funny thing is leaving everything intact, but burning houses.
With the exception of blue vehicles and blue homes.
Homes with blue roofs. So, folks, it's direct energy weapon. They're purposely starting these fires. So, look it up. Go down the rabbit hole. Yeah. It's there. It's not conspiracy theory. It's a fact. So
thanks for following Stars, Bars, and Cigars. Thanks to YouTube, Twitch, and Rumble. And you can catch us on all your streaming platforms. And we'll catch you next Sunday at 7:30.
All righty. Thanks for listening, folks.
Yep.
We're out of here.
Listening to Stars, Bars, and Cigars. Two conservative vets telling it like it is. The rally cry for those who appreciate bold truths served with a side of mayhem.
Roger, outside, decide before that's all. We'll keep them sweating until we see Butcher 3. Out.
We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. And if you didn't, well, why are you still here, snowflake? We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, follow us on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and hear our precious voices on all the streaming services. Until next time, keep the spirit of freedom roaring.